I didn't tell my son I was worth $14 million. I let him believe I was almost broke. I watched him measure my value in silence. And the night he called me, his voice shaking, drowning in debt, asking for help, I almost told him the truth. Almost, but I needed to know something first. I needed to know whether he wanted his father or my money. By the end of that year, I would discover the answer. And it would either save our family or break it forever. Welcome to my YouTube channel Whisper Stories, where silence speaks. My name is Edison Clarke, and I am 60 years old. At 60, you believe you've already learned the final lessons about love, loyalty, and loss. You think your heart has been shaped enough times to recognize sincerity from selfishness. You think grief has carved you into someone who cannot be surprised anymore. So you are wrong, because nothing prepares you for discovering how people look at you when they think you have nothing left to give. And nothing reveals the truth faster than money. My wife Margaret died quietly one winter morning. No dramatic hospital alarms, no final speeches, just a soft exhale while snow fell outside our bedroom window. After 35 years of marriage, she left this world the same way she lived in it, gentle, steady, dignified. Margaret was the practical one between us. I was a school principal, steady income, modest savings. She had a sharper eye. Over decades, she invested quietly. Stocks, real estate, long-term ventures I barely understood. I trusted her. I didn't know how much. A week after her funeral, her lawyer called me into his office. I expected paperwork, perhaps a modest inheritance from investments. Instead, he cleared his throat and slid a document across the desk. $14 million. $14 million. My wife had built a fortune. And she had told no one. Not even our son. Especially not our son. My son Daniel was 32 when Margaret passed. Intelligent, ambitious, restless. He worked in finance. Ironic, I always thought. But ambition can be hungry, and hunger, if left unchecked, can turn into something else. Daniel loved his mother deeply. I do not doubt that, but grief affects people differently. Some become softer, others become harder. Daniel became calculating. 2 months after Margaret's funeral, he sat across from me at the kitchen table. "You shouldn't stay alone in this big house," he said. I stirred my tea. I've lived here 40 years. You could downsize, invest the money. We could plan things. We. The word landed oddly. What things? I asked. Opportunities, business expansion, property development. There's a lot you could do if you weren't so conservative. I looked at my son and saw a man scanning the horizon for advantage. And that was the moment I decided something. I would not tell him. 3 months later, Daniel announced he was getting married. Her name was Vanessa. Beautiful, polished, sharp smile, the kind of woman who studied rooms before entering them. She worked in marketing, spoke confidently, and dressed like someone already accustomed to luxury. I watched her carefully. At dinner one night, she asked casually, "So Edison, what are your plans now? Retirement must be limited." Limited? Yes, I smiled. Teachers don't retire rich. She nodded almost sympathetically. Almost. That night after they left, I stood in my quiet kitchen and whispered to Margaret's photograph. I'm going to wait. I'm going to see who loves me when they think I'm ordinary. The wedding was extravagant. Not funded by me. Daniel insisted he and Vanessa were paying for everything. He even made a subtle point of it during his speech. We built this ourselves, he said proudly. Applause followed. I clapped too. But I noticed something else. During conversations with Vanessa's parents, there were probing questions. What's your father's estate like? Has he made retirement arrangements? Will he be moving closer to you too? Daniel always answered vaguely. Because he didn't know. And I intended to keep it that way. Months passed. I continued living modestly. Same car, same house, same routine. I volunteered at the library. I wore old sweaters. I declined expensive outings. And slowly, something changed. Invitations became less frequent. Phone calls shortened. Visits became strategic. One evening, Daniel came alone. "Dad," he said, "Vanessa and I are looking at a new condo downtown. It's a big opportunity." "That sounds nice. We're short on the down payment." There it was. How short? 200,000. I looked at him calmly. "I don't have that kind of money." Silence. A flicker crossed his face. Disappointment. Not sadness. Disappointment. "I thought Mom might have left more." I met his eyes. "Your mother left me memories." He nodded slowly. He left 15 minutes later. After that, distance grew. Vanessa stopped pretending warmth. Her messages became polite but cold. "Hope you're well." Daniel grew busy. Work, travel, opportunities. I watched from a distance. And I waited. 1 year after their wedding, I received a call at midnight. Daniel's voice trembled. "Dad, we're in trouble." A business investment had collapsed. Loans, risky partnerships, overconfidence. They owed nearly $500,000. "Can you help?" he asked quietly. The house was silent around me. This was the moment. I could write a check. I could save them instantly. But I asked something first. "If I cannot help financially, would you still want me in your life?" Silence. "Of course, Dad." Answer honestly. A longer silence. "We need support," he said carefully. "Not we need you." Support. I closed my eyes. "I'm sorry," I said gently. "I can't give you money." The call ended stiffly. After that, weeks passed without contact. Then months. Grief returned, not for Margaret this time, but for the living son who felt far away. Money had not changed me. But the absence of it had changed how they saw me. One Sunday afternoon, I drove to their apartment unannounced. It was smaller than I expected. Vanessa opened the door. Surprise flashed across her face. "Oh, Edison. May I come in?" Inside, I saw tension, bills stacked on a table, arguments lingering in the air. Daniel looked exhausted. For the first time in his life, he looked unsure. I sat down. "I want to tell you something," I said. They exchanged glances. "When your mother passed, she left me something, a considerable sum." Vanessa straightened immediately. Daniel leaned forward. "How much?" $14 million. The room froze. 14 million. I let the number settle. Vanessa's eyes widened, not with emotion but calculation. Daniel whispered, You have that." "Yes. And you said you couldn't help us." "I said I couldn't give you money." His face reddened. "Dad, we're drowning." And I needed to know something. Vanessa spoke sharply. "Know what?" I looked at them both. "If you loved me without it." Silence swallowed the room. Daniel stood up. "That's not fair." "No," I said softly. "It is, but neither is being valued only for what you can provide." His voice cracked. "You let us struggle." "I watched you," I replied, "and I saw how quickly I became irrelevant when you believed I had nothing." Vanessa crossed her arms. "So what now? You're going to punish us?" "No." I reached into my coat and placed 2 envelopes on the table. One contains a trust document. I've established a fund, not for lifestyle upgrades, but for emergencies, education, and future grandchildren. They stared. The second envelope, I continued, contains something more important. Daniel opened it. Inside was a letter written by Margaret before her death. She had known. She had sensed Daniel's hunger for status. In the letter, she wrote, "Wealth reveals character, Edison. If Daniel values love, he will come back to you regardless of what you have. If he values money, he must learn that lesson the hard way." Daniel's hands trembled as he read. Tears fell onto the paper. For the first time since her death, I saw my son, not the ambitious man, not the desperate investor, but the little boy who once held my hand crossing the street. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "Not for the money. For the distance. For the way he had measured me." Vanessa looked down, her composure cracked. "I didn't realize," she began, but her sentence dissolved. Over the next year, things changed. Not instantly. Trust rebuilds slowly. I did help them, but with conditions. Financial counseling. Debt restructuring. No reckless investments. No entitlement. And most importantly, weekly dinners. Not at restaurants. At my house. The same kitchen table where Daniel once asked about opportunities. Now we spoke about life. About griefs. About mistakes. About Margaret. Money stayed in the background. Love came forward. At 60 years old, I learned something I wish I had understood at 30. Money does not corrupt love. It exposes it. It magnifies what already exists. If there is greed, it grows. If there is gratitude, it deepens. And sometimes, withholding what you can give is the only way to discover what truly matters. Today, Daniel and Vanessa are expecting their first child. When he told me, his voice wasn't calculating. It was soft. "Dad, I want to be better." "You will be," I said. Because I finally believe him. The $14 million still sits mostly untouched. Investments continue quietly. Security remains. But my real inheritance is not the money Margaret left behind. It is the lesson she trusted me to teach. Love that depends on wealth is fragile. Love that survives without it is unbreakable. Moral of the story: wealth reveals character more than it creates it. If someone values you only when you can provide, they do not value you at all. True love remains even when you appear to have nothing. And sometimes the greatest gift you can give your children is not money, but a lesson they will never forget.